Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette and the custom brush for the placemat. I have them both linked in the description below. They're totally free to download. For the color palette, just double tap it to open it up and it'll automatically pop it into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. And for the custom brush, all you need to do is go to your brush library, click the plus icon in the top right, and then click import, and you find the brush wherever you saved it on your iPad, and you will be able to use it. So take a little bit of time to go and do that, and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, first things first, we will go over our canvas dimensions. They are 10 inches by 10 inches at 300 dpi or 3000 by 3000 pixels. The color profile that I'm using is the second one on the RGB list. And for our layers today, by the end of the video, we've used about 20 layers. So make sure you have at least that many available by checking here. If you do not, you can always lower your DPI here to get more layers. And this is the color palette that we're working with today. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We will start on the background. So we will be on layer 1. We will grab the first color on our color palette, and we will drag and drop that onto the entire background to fill that layer. On the same layer, we will grab the second color on the top row of the color palette, and we are going to find the stucco brush under the painting category, and that is what we are going to use for our background texture. Let's have that set to about 70%. And we are just going to draw this all over the background without lifting our brush up to create one nice even texture all over our back wall here, essentially. Okay, and next we will go to our layer menu, add a new layer, and we are going to draw our table. So we are going to grab the third color on the top row of our color palette. We are going to grab the selection tool, set it to a rectangle with color fill turned on, and we are just going to start a little bit above halfway on the left side of our canvas here and drag all the way to the right and bottom off the screen on both sides, and then let it go to fill it in. If you need to make any adjustments, you can click the arrow tool and drag it down or resize it if necessary. I might drag mine down just a little bit. On this same layer, we will grab the fourth color on the top row, and we are going to switch our brush to the chalk brush under the calligraphy category. We will set that to about 50%, and we are just going to kind of draw some random squiggly lines all over the top of our table here to kind of create like a wood grain texture. So some longer, some shorter, some skinnier, some thicker, just to kind of create a nice pattern. Okay, and then next we are going to add another new layer. Grab the fifth color on the top row of our color palette and grab our selection tool again with rectangle and color fill turned on. And I'm just going to draw my placemat here on top of my table. So I'm going to start in from the right and top of this table part that we just drew, right inside there, and start drawing there. Create a nice rectangle shape going all the way around to the other side, leaving some space on both the right and the bottom, and then let it go to fill it in. Okay, and then back on our layer menu, click on this white layer here and turn on alpha lock. Then we will go to our color palette and grab the sixth color on the top row, our bright blue, and this is where our custom brush will come in. So let's find that, the plaid brush here. And we will set it to 100%, and we are just going to draw this all over our placemat here without lifting it up and without having our canvas crooked so that it creates a nice pattern all over it. Then we will grab the arrow tool, click on Distort, and we will use the bottom right and bottom left corners to create this illusion of the tabletop. So we'll drag it out and to the right, going off the side of the screen, while trying to keep this bottom line pretty horizontal from left to right. So do it to each side, make any adjustments that you need to. Okay, next we will add another new layer. Grab the first color on the second row of our color palette, and we are going to switch to our Monoline Brush under the Calligraphy tab. Well, let's go ahead and set that to about 50 to 60%, and we are going to use it to draw our plate now. So we are just going to draw an oval shape like this, hold it down until Procreate turns it into a perfect smooth oval, and then go ahead and let it go. Click Edit Shape at the top and we can make some adjustments. The main thing that we want to do is just center it nicely on our placemat and make sure that these two dots here, top to bottom, are kind of right on top of each other. And then same thing with our ones on left to right, make sure that those are straight across from each other so it's pretty nice and straight. I'm also just going to make the whole thing a little bit smaller. We want a good amount of room, or a good amount of our placemat showing all the way around. So maybe about right here. Next, let's go ahead and click the arrow tool, make sure snapping is turned on in the bottom left, and then drag this around till we see this vertical yellow line showing us that it's in the center of our screen from left to right, and leave it there. Then we will go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this oval layer. The one on top, we will grab the third color on the second row of our color palette and drag and drop to fill it in. Then we will click the arrow tool, set it to uniform, make sure snapping is turned on, and we will just resize it and then drag it back to the center of our oval behind it to create a nice little inlay here for our plate. We can also click on freeform instead and just kind of make some more adjustments so that there's a good amount of space all the way around our plate and it looks very even. So the sides and the bottom, the distance looks about the same. And again, just drag it around to make sure it's nicely in the center of our white oval behind it. Then we'll go to our layer menu, make another duplicate now of this gray one we just made. Grab the second color on the second row and fill that one in on top. And then grab the arrow tool again and resize it down just a little bit so that we can see just a little bit of this darker gray poking out behind it. And again, make sure that it's even all the way around so there's just this nice little ring of the dark gray showing. Then let's go to our layer menu and snap these top two oval layers together so they're on the same layer. Click on it, turn on Alpha Lock. Click the wand icon, Gaussian blur, and let's drag that to just about 10 to 15%, somewhere in there, to give it a nice little blur to blur those colors together. Then we'll go to our layer menu again, snap these two layers now together so all of our ovals are together. Click on this one, turn on Alpha Lock again, wand tool again, Gaussian blur again, and again let's drag this one up to maybe just about 5% to just give a nice little blur to kind of make it look a little more 3D. And to make it look even more 3D, while we're on this layer with Alpha Lock turned on, let's grab the second color on the second row of our color palette, switch our brush to the soft brush under the airbrushing category. Let's go ahead and set that to about 5 to 10%. And we are just going to focus right on the front edge of our plate here. So essentially the bottom right on the very, very edge, and just lightly add a little bit of this gray to kind of create a little rim effect to make it look even more 3D. We'll do it all the way from left to right until we kind of hit this edge on each side, where we'll just kind of stop. Next, we'll go to our layer menu, add a new layer, drag it below our plate layer, right above our placemat layer. Click the N on this layer and drag it up to multiply. This is going to be a shadow layer underneath our plate. Grab the third color on the second row. Same soft brush that we were using just a second ago, but let's increase the size to maybe 12 to 15%. And we are just going to drag this all underneath our plate layer here, kind of following the same shape of the plate to create a nice shadow underneath it on top of our placemat. Only on the bottom sides and then all the way up to each side left to right, but nothing beyond that. Okay, so that completes our plate. We have that all very nicely done. It looks great, looks 3D. So now we're going to move on to our pancakes, which are the main event. So we are going to go to our layer menu, add a new layer on top of all of our layers. Grab the fourth color on the second row. And we are going to switch back to our Monoline Brush under the calligraphy tab. With our brush at about 50 to 60% still, we are first going to draw an oval like so. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to make it like perfectly horizontal. Click edit shape at the top and we will resize it and move it around a little. So we want it to be right in the center of our plate with a good amount of room on both sides of it, about like this. And then we'll go ahead and fill it in. We do want it to be pretty flat from top to bottom, not too round. So if you need to, you can use your arrow tool on freeform to adjust how thick your oval is, but we do want it maybe about like this. And grab your arrow tool and again just make sure it's centered with this vertical yellow line that pops up, so it's right in the middle. Then let's go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this layer, the top one that pops up. Let's go ahead and grab the fifth color on the second row and fill it in. Grab our arrow tool and we are going to drag it up, but again, keep it right on our yellow line in the middle so that we know that they are perfectly in line still. Drag it up quite a bit to give us a nice thick pancake, maybe about right there. Next, we're going to add a new layer, drag it between our two pancake layers that we have so far. Grab the sixth color on the second row, same monoline brush, let's keep it at about 50%. And we are going to zoom in here and we are going to start on the edge of our top oval here, the darker one. Kind of draw down a little bit and then we're going to make a wavy line across the front of our pancake like this. And then starting here, we are going to make a nice wavy line all the way across till we get to the other side. And can connect it back up top. Go ahead and take some time and kind of smooth it all out nicely. But they shouldn't be too like pointy or anything. They should be pretty low. Pretty shallow curves and nice and smooth. Till we get to the end over here. And again, we want it to meet up nicely on the side here. Like so. And then let's just kind of draw a pretend line across the back to connect the two sides so that we can fill it in. So now it should look something like this. Again, make sure your lines on the side are nice and smooth, so go back in with the eraser if you need to. They should be pretty straight up and down because then we will connect it with our bottom pancake layer. But now we will go to our layer menu. We will snap these top 2 layers together. We will click on it, turn on alpha lock, grab the wand tool, click Gaussian blur, and drag this up to maybe just 5% to create a nice little blend there to make it look kind of 3D. Then we'll go back to our first pancake layer here, grab the 3rd color on the 2nd row again that we were using on it, and now we will go and connect it. So on the left side here, let's start there, and I'm just going to draw a line up to connect it, make it nice and smooth, and then do the same thing on the right side to fill in this gap here. So just to make it nice and smooth from top to bottom so it all looks like one big shape. And I might even use my arrow tool and move it up, this bottom layer up just a little bit to kind of make it a little less thick. If you do that and it causes any of your yellow part to go up above the size of your pancake, go ahead and erase those. But now you should have something that looks like this. I am going to now go to my layer menu and drag these 2 layers together so that now all my pancake layers are all on one layer. I'm going to click my arrow tool and move it down just a little bit more centered on my plate, about right there. And now we will go ahead and start stacking them. So let's go to our layer menu, make a duplicate of this pancake layer by sliding left on it and hitting duplicate. Click the arrow tool and then let's drag it up and to the right a little bit until we can see a good amount of the top of our bottom pancake still. So maybe about right there. Make another duplicate and then drag this one up and to the left a little bit so we have a nice little kind of varied stack here of pancakes. Now we're going to add some shadows on them since they're stacked on top of each other. So let's find our bottom pancake, add a layer above it. Click on the N on this layer, drag it to multiply. Let's grab the first color on the first row and grab our soft brush again under the airbrushing category. Set the size to maybe 5% and we are just going to start right underneath our second pancake here and very lightly just kind of follow that shape to create a shadow on top of our first pancake like this, just a little bit of a shadow. And then let's do the same thing for the next pancake. So find this middle one, add a layer above it, click the N and drag it to multiply. And then same brush, same color, and we'll just add a slight shadow there, again following the shape of our top pancake, like so. That just helps add a little bit of depth there. So next we will add the syrup on top. So let's add a new layer on top of all of our layers. Grab the first color on the last row of our color palette. And with our monoline brush again, we are going to draw the syrup. So let's have this set to maybe 50% still. And the first thing that we're going to do is just kind of draw like a puddle on top with some wavy edges, something like this, and fill it in. Smooth everything out very nicely. Maybe I'll kind of increase the size of it like this. Something like that. And then on the left side here, I will start kind of a waterfall. So I will just kind of start from this point here, maybe. And just continue it down the side of the pancake. I will just keep going down until I get to the bottom of the plate. And then at the bottom here, I will kind of follow the line of this pancake. And then stop it maybe right here, make another little kind of puddle on the plate. And then again, follow the line of this pancake pretty well. And then fill that in. Again, smooth it out where it needs to be. And then while we're doing this now, so we have our nice kind of straight lines here, but we do want like a little puddle on each pancake. So like here, right where this pancake is, I am just going to make it go out just a little bit, kind of right underneath my top pancake to create a small little puddle area on my second pancake like this, connecting back to the waterfall. And then same thing on this one, maybe a little bit bigger. But again, follow the line of this top pancake and then make the puddle on the second pancake. Something kind of like this. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on the side over here. Maybe a smaller little waterfall that only hits our second pancake. So let's just kind of start curving down. And then right here, we will make a nice little puddle on the second layer, or on our middle pancake, like so. And lastly, we'll maybe add just a standalone little puddle kind of at the bottom here on the right side. Again, just following the line of the pancake first, and then going outwards in a puddle motion to make a puddle shape, and filling it in. One thing I realized I forgot to do is add a shadow underneath our bottom pancake, so let's go do that really fast. So let's just go straight to our plate layer, grab the third color on the second row, grab the soft brush again under the airbrushing category. We'll leave it set to maybe 5%, and let's just lightly follow the shape of our pancake on the bottom to create a nice little shadow there. And that is it. Okay, so now that's done and out of the way, let's go back to our syrup. So now we're going to add kind of some shininess to it. So let's grab the second color on the last row, same layer here, and we are going to use our soft brush now that we are already on from our shadow. So find that 5% still for the size, and we are just going to kind of focus towards the center of our shapes here and kind of follow the same shapes. And yeah, focus on the center to add some highlights there. Lower the brush size if you need to as we continue on. Maybe even a few highlights in our waterfall. And our other puddles, again, just sticking towards the center. Like so, and then same layer, we will grab the third color on the second row, set our brush to maybe 2%, and we are just going to make some really small little kind of highlights at certain points of our syrup, kind of following some of the edges. 2% worked pretty good for the top, but let's maybe drop it a little bit for the sides here so we get a nice small line. So something like this, just to kind of create some nice little highlights. We will now go to our layer menu, click the N on this layer, and drag the opacity down to maybe 80%, just to make it a little bit more translucent so that we can see kind of some of the pancake details behind it. Okay, now we'll add the butter. So let's go and add a new layer on top of this layer, grab the fourth color on the last row, switch back to our Monoline brush, under the calligraphy tab. And we are first going to make just 2 little cubes of butter on the top, so almost a rectangle shape, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So something kind of like this with some more rounded edges, maybe a rounded top kind of, but fairly smooth if possible. And then we'll make a second one as well, right next to it, all just right on top of our syrup here, like so. Then we will add a new layer, drag it below this cubed butter layer, grab the 5th color on the last row, and we are going to kind of draw a little puddle underneath our butter. Nothing too big, and then fill that in. So just about like that. And lastly, we are going to draw the chair in the background. So it is going to be right above our gray background layer, below our wood tabletop layer. So let's add a layer there. Grab the 6th color on the last row, Monoline Brush still, set at about 50%. And the first thing that we are going to do is make an oval shape in the background. Hold it down. Click Edit Shape, and let's just kind of get it lined up nicely so that the top of our oval, this center blue line here, is straight up and down. And then we can kind of drag the bottom down lower so we get a nice curved shape like this. Make a duplicate of that layer on the layer menu. Click the arrow tool. It's on freeform, so let's just kind of go down and to the side for each one. And just again, kind of make sure that the spacing is about even all the way around, so the spacing at the top and the spacing at the sides. Then let's go to the layer menu, drag these 2 layers together, our 2 oval layers, and then go ahead and fill it in between them. Click the arrow tool and just drag it around to make sure it's in the center. I might make my whole shape a little bit bigger. To give some nice spacing around the pancakes, kind of like this. And then on the same layer, same color, same monoline brush, let's set that to 100%. And I am just going to start making some straight vertical lines. So I'm going to start in the middle about, make a straight line, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen to make it perfectly vertical, go over a little bit, make another one, over about the same distance, make another one. You can always click Edit Shape at the top to move it around, so if it's not quite in the right spot, make another one, and maybe one more here. And then do the same thing on the other side. So aside from the middle one, I had 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And with that step done, that completes our picture today. So I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!